One day, as Chidi walked to the market, a group of young men blocked his path. "Look who decided to show up," one of them sneered. "The great Chidi, the deserter." "Leave me be," Chidi muttered, trying to sidestep them. But they were not deterred. One of the men, larger and more aggressive, shoved Chidi to the ground. "You don't belong here," he growled. "Go back to where you came from." Chidi picked himself up, brushing off the dirt. This is what happened so far. 20 years ago, Chidi, a hard-working Nigerian man, left his family in Ayodele village with a promise to return soon. He was lured by his friend Obinna, a successful businessman in the city, who promised Chidi unlimited success. Chidi's family, his wife Ezine and their 4 children, Namdi, Chinwe, Kalechi and Amara, were left behind, heartbroken and confused. Chidi never explained his motivations to his family, leaving them in the dark about his sudden departure. Ezine, a strong and resilient woman, raised their children alone, working tirelessly to provide for them. Over the years, the children grew into successful adults. Namdi became a doctor, Chinwe an engineer, Kalechi an artist, and Amara a lawyer. Despite the hardships, they thrived under Ezine's care. Chidi's venture in the city turned out to be a harsh lesson in reality. Obinna's promises were empty, and Chidi ended up working long hours with little to show for it. After 20 years, a sick and broken Chidi returned to his family, seeking a second chance. As Chidi stood at the doorway of his family's beautiful home, he felt a mixture of relief and trepidation. The journey back had been long and painful, but seeing his family again made it worth the effort. Namdi, his oldest son, now a tall and muscular 32-year-old, opened the door. His initial shock quickly turned into a frown. "Papa," he said, his voice flat. "You are back!" Ezine, her once jet-black braids now streaked with grey, stepped forward. "Chidi," she said, her tone a mixture of surprise and guarded emotion. "Why are you here?" Chidi took a deep breath. "I have returned to make amends," he said, his voice trembling. "I know I have much to explain and more to atone for. Please, let me in." The family allowed him inside, but the atmosphere was tense. They listened as Chidi recounted his years of hardship and failure in the city. Despite their anger and hurt, they decided to give him a chance to prove himself. Word of Chidi's return spread quickly through Ayodele. The villagers, who had watched Ezine raise her children alone and transform her small business into a thriving enterprise, were not quick to forgive. Gossip and rumors flew around the village like wildfire. "Did you hear? Chidi has come back after 20 years, one villager said. "Yes, I saw him. How dare he show his face here again?" another replied. "He's nothing but a coward who abandoned his family," a third chimed in. Chidi felt the weight of their disdain everywhere he went. Simple errands to the market were met with cold stares and whispered insults. Children pointed at him and laughed, while adults openly called him names. One day, as Chidi walked to the market, a group of young men blocked his path. "Look who decided to show up," one of them sneered. "The great Chidi, the deserter." "Leave me be," Chidi muttered, trying to sidestep them. But they were not deterred. One of the men, larger and more aggressive, shoved Chidi to the ground. "You don't belong here," he growled. "Go back to where you came from." Chidi picked himself up, brushing off the dirt. His slight beard and graying hair made him appear older and more fragile than he felt. He had to endure this. He had to prove himself to his family and the village. Esine and the children were not immune to the village's hostility. At the market, vendors who once greeted Esine warmly now treated her with suspicion. Chinwe, who had become a successful engineer, faced whispers and side glances at her workspace. Namdi, the doctor, found his patients questioning his judgment. One evening, Esine gathered her children in the living room. "We need to talk about your father," she said, her voice firm but gentle. "He is facing a lot of hostility, and it's affecting all of us." Chinwe, her eyes filled with frustration, spoke first. "Mama, it's not just about him. People are questioning our integrity because of his actions." Namdi nodded in agreement. "It's like they are waiting for us to fail. They think we can't be trusted because our father abandoned us." Kelechi, always the artist, expressed his concerns through his sketches. He showed his latest drawing to the family, a picture of a man standing alone against a hostile crowd. "This is how I see Papa," he said quietly, "and it's how I feel sometimes." Amara, the youngest, looked at her mother with wide, worried eyes. "Mama, what if they never accept him? What if they never accept us?" Esine took a deep breath. "We must stand together as a family," she said. "We need to support your father. He made mistakes, but he is now here trying to make things right." Chidi's days were filled with small acts of defiance and perseverance. He would wake up early, helping Esine with the chores and trying to integrate back into the community. He visited old friends, many of whom turned him away. He attended village meetings where he was often ignored or ridiculed. One particularly difficult day, Chidi sat alone under the same tree where he had once contemplated leaving. He felt a hand on his shoulder and looked up to see Namdi standing there. "Papa," Namdi said softly, "why did you leave us?" Chidi's eyes filled with tears. "I thought I was doing the right thing. I wanted to come back successful and provide for you all. But I failed." Namdi sat down beside him. "We didn't need you to be successful, Papa. We just needed you to be here." Chidi nodded, tears streaming down his face. "I know that now. I regret every moment I wasn't with you." The family's unity began to show cracks in the village's hostility. One day, Esine decided it was time to address the village directly. She organized a community meeting, inviting everyone to attend. The meeting was held in the village square. Esine stood before the crowd, her children by her side. Chidi stood slightly behind, his head held high. Thank you all for coming, Esine began. I know there has been a lot of talk about my husband Chidi and his return. I understand your concerns and your anger, but I ask you to listen to our side of the story. She recounted her struggles after Chidi left, how they had built their lives without him and how they had become stronger. Chidi made a mistake, she said, but he has come back to make amends. He is our family and we stand by him. The villagers murmured among themselves. Some looked sympathetic, while others remained skeptical. One elder, a respected figure in the village, stepped forward. Esine, we respect you and your children. You have done well without him. But why should we trust him now? Chidi stepped forward, his voice confident and unwavering. I know I have not the right to ask for your forgiveness. I failed my family and all of you. But I am here to prove that I have changed. Please give me a chance. Amara, her eyes blazing with determination, stepped forward. Enough, she said, her voice cutting through the murmurs. My father has nothing to prove to you. His mistake was leaving us, not you. We, his family, have forgiven him. Who are you to judge him? What right do you have to exclude him? The villagers fell silent, stunned by her boldness. Your gossip and spite have taken a life on their own, Amara continued. You condemn him without knowing his motives, without understanding what he went through. This has nothing to do with justice or humanity anymore. It's about prejudice and the dangerous power of the majority's opinion. Esine stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. Chidi made mistakes, but his intentions were always to support his family. He was misled, but he never stopped thinking of us. He has returned to make amends, and that takes great courage. More courage than it takes to spread rumors and judge from the sidelines. Determined to prove themselves, the family decided to take action, not to satisfy the gossiping crowd, but to demonstrate their self-confidence and unity. Chidi, with renewed strength, helped rebuild the village school and repaired homes, not seeking approval, but fulfilling his duty to his family and community. He worked tirelessly, driven by the desire to do right by his loved ones. Some villagers started to acknowledge his hard work, but others remained wary. One evening, Chidi was working late in the fields when a group of young men approached him. They were the same ones who had bullied him before. Chidi braced himself for another confrontation. Chidi, the leader of the group said, we see you are working hard. Maybe we were wrong about you. Chidi looked up, his eyes steady and unwavering. Thank you, he said simply, but I don't need your validation. I am here for my family. The leader nodded, somewhat taken aback. Keep at it, old man. Actions speak louder than words. Seeing Chidi's determination, the family railed around him. They decided to no longer offer their services at reduced rates, as they had nothing to prove to anyone but themselves. Namdi offered medical services at standard rates, but also set up a free clinic for those genuinely in need, not to gain acceptance, but to serve humanity. Chinwe used her engineering skills to improve the village's infrastructure, driven by her passion for innovation and sustainability. Kelechi continued to paint murals depicting unity and resilience, focusing on expressing the village's strength rather than seeking approval. Amara provided legal assistance to those in need, advocating for justice with confidence and integrity. One day, during a community meeting, Amara decided to address the villagers. She stood confidently before the crowd, her presence commanding attention. "Villagers of Ayodele," she began, her voice steady and strong. "We have all faced challenges, and we have all made mistakes. My father, Chidi, made a mistake when he left us. But his intention was always to provide for his family. He was misled, but he never stopped thinking of us. He returned, not for your forgiveness, but to make amends with his family. Yet, you judge him harshly without understanding his motives or his journey." She paused, letting her words sink in. The villagers listened intently, their expressions a mix of shame and curiosity. "Gossip and prejudice are easy," Amara continued. "They spread like wildfire, causing harm without thought or reason. True justice requires understanding and compassion. My father has shown great courage in returning and facing his past. We, his family, have forgiven him because we understand his heart. Who are you to judge him without knowing his story?" She looked around, meeting the eyes of those in the crowd. "This village has the potential to be a place of unity and strength. Let us not be divided by ignorance and spite. Let us be an example of forgiveness, understanding, and resilience." The crowd murmured, some nodding in agreement, others looking ashamed. The elder, who had previously challenged Chidi, stepped forward, his expression thoughtful. "Amara, you speak with wisdom beyond your years," he said. "You are right. We have judged without understanding. Let us work together to build a better future, free from prejudice and gossip." Despite the progress, doubts and fears lingered within the family. One night, Ezine sat down with Chidi. "Chidi, I worry about the future," she admitted. "What if things go wrong again?" Chidi took her hand. "Ezine, I can't promise that everything will be perfect, but I can promise that I will never abandon you again. We will face everything together." Ezine nodded, tears in her eyes. "I believe you, Chidi. Let's make this work." The children too had their fears. Namdi confided in Chinwe. "What if the villagers never fully accept us?" he asked. Chinwe smiled. "Then we will make our own way, Namdi. We have each other, and that's enough." Months passed, and Chidi's efforts slowly began to pay off. The villagers started to see him in a new light. The once hostile stares turned into nods of acknowledgement. The whispers of gossip were replaced with conversations of acceptance. One day, as Chidi worked on repairing the village well, the elder who had challenged him approached. "Chidi," he said, his voice filled with respect, "you have shown to us your commitment. I believe it is time we put the past behind us." Chidi looked up, his posture confident and unwavering. "Thank you," he said, "but know this, my actions are for my family, not for your approval." The elder nodded. "You have proven yourself, Chidi. Welcome back to Ayodele." As the story of Chidi and his family's journey came to an end, it left a lasting lesson. Gossip and prejudice are dangerous. They can spread like wildfire, causing harm without thought or reason. It's important to understand the whole story before making judgments. Chidi's return was about courage and redemption. He and his family stood against the tide of public opinion, proving that true strength comes from within and from the support of loved ones. Thank you for watching the story. Please share with me and let me know in the comments what do you think about the power of gossip and public opinion. Have you ever experienced a situation where rumors and prejudice affected someone's life? How would you have reacted if you were in Chidi's or Isine's place? I am looking forward to hear from you and will be happy to answer your comments. See you in the next story. Bye bye.